Make sure you read the description for two quick updates. So, Survivor 41, and it's kind of interesting that after so many years of Survivor being the one reality show in America that seemed to be avoiding using the number system, they're finally doing it, albeit that's because they're in the same location over and over again, so it was getting harder and harder for them to come up with titles, and given how wordy they were becoming, it kind of makes sense for them to not be doing it anymore. So, right. I really like this premiere, actually. Sure, I've got various nitpicks for you, but I really liked it. The twists, I don't think they're going to be bothering me as much, though I still hate the fact that you've still got these, like, one-time extra votes, although given now how it's distributed per tribe, I'm a little less picky about it, because, like, introducing hidden immunity idols and then this shot in the dark bit, it's, evenly distributed and it's like a permanent layer that is added to the game, whereas previously all these extra votes, steal votes, idol nullifiers, they're just one-time only things, and I'm just not a fan of that, because that idol nullifier, I thought that would be something that was hidden just like the regular hidden immunity idols, but turns out they just do it one and out. So that's disappointing. Because as I've said before, what was wrong with what was going on in Samoa for Worlds Apart, even though Worlds Apart had an extra vote? What was wrong with that? Just like how I wish we could have a season that starts with two tribes and stays with two tribes. Island of Idols was supposed to have free tribes. For some reason, they decided not to, okay? But here's the thing. Even though I am complaining about starting with two tribes and then expanding to free, I'm actually a lot more okay with free tribes right off the bat. Don't ask me why, I just am. Yeah. And then having only one tribe be able to win immunity, well, they do have less days to work with, even though if you look at Survivor South Africa, there were multiple seasons where they had 18 people and they were able to take care of everything without doing any of the double tribals. But I will applaud them for doing this little bit of a quick extra boot off in the first round, because this is the same dynamics that we would have seen. It just happened sooner. Sure, okay, the longer a tribe goes without going to tribal, the more opportunity there is for those dynamics to change, but somehow I don't think so this time. Who knows? So, and as I've said before, everyone has the same shot of saving themselves, unlike almost all of those double tribals where both tribes in a two-tribe situation go to tribal council, and then either no one in either tribe has a shot of saving themselves, or it's only someone on the winning tribe that has an equal shot of saving themselves, and then that person that saves themselves has sole discretion as to who gets saved on the losing tribe. And then Palau had the worst situation of all, where no one on the winning tribe could save themselves, and then the winning tribe could collectively save someone on the losing tribe. So of course they save the person that they think is most likely going to be voted out. Huh? So I'm totally glad that they don't do double tribals like that anymore. Thank you. I mean, really. Just like I'm also glad that they seem to be stopping with having tribe mix-ups or swaps where there's an odd number, and then the few times that they do, they just send the odd person out to an undisclosed location, so that takes them out of the equation. Man, but, you know? Right, now, the shot in the dark bit, as I've said before, it seems to provide a nice permanent layer to the game, but one thing that is on my mind is, I know that everyone can only use their dice one time during the game, but can they give the die to somebody else? I wonder. We'll see, won't we? Because I'm sure Dalton is going to ask that question to Jeff at some point. And also, while Jeff says that it's only going to be 6 possible sack options, is that because there's 6 faces on the die? Or is that because there's 6 people per tribe? Like, what are you going to do when they merge? Because you know that they're going to merge with more than more than 6 people. Why did that take so long? They're going to merge anywhere from 10 to 12, in theory. So that's going to be interesting. And then, of course, there's this beware advantage, but we don't know what exactly it is, but it seems pretty obvious that it's going to be like those other things where it's risk versus reward, that kind of a thing. And then speaking of risk versus reward, how did I feel about that prisoner dilemma, so to speak? I was able to read Danny and JD, and that Danny would protect his vote, even though in hindsight it would have actually been better for him if he risked his vote, so that denies the extra vote that the other 2 guys got. And I knew that JD would risk his vote, even though they did everything they could to make us believe otherwise. Xander, on the other hand, I couldn't predict either way. But I do admire him for taking the same approach that Danny did, except he tells his story correctly that actually I risked my vote, but then again, dynamics on the tribe might have told him to do that, just like dynamics on Danny's tribe told him to do that. Now, if I had been there, what would I have done? Provided I had been there with those 2 guys, other guys, I'm not going to assume who I'm going to be. And if I had had like that same discussion with them, I would have just protected my vote, because that way nothing happens to me and I'm still able to help people out, regardless of who it is that I'm helping. Yeah. But again, as I've said before, hindsight being 2020, knowing that Xander and JD have extra votes, it probably would have been better for Danny to have risked it, so that way they're all in that situation. Especially since I'm actually hoping every tribe goes to tribal before there's a mix-up. Hopefully I didn't mention that already, because this is take 3 of this video. Because, yeah, for once, I'm not explicitly rooting for the blue tribe as like having the better strategist. I think actually it's pretty even between all these tribes. It's just that the way that they're expressing it is just different. Blue tribe is more peaceful. Yellow tribe, there's more HVV gameplay onwards, but they seem to be a little more polite about it. And then Green Tribe, it's like Cambodia game, just boom, boom, boom. Things are crazy all over the place. Right. Other things to note about the cast. I do kind of enjoy these little interpersonal bits that we're getting from various members, but I kind of get the feeling that they're only doing that because it's a 2-hour premiere. Because this isn't like the days of Borneo and Australia, where they try to give you little bits about the contestants from the beginning. Like, they even, and after Australia, they did it less and less, and then once you get to Amazon, they stopped bothering with it altogether. So I get the feeling that this isn't going to last that much longer. We'll see. Challenges, fun challenges, but here's the thing though. Having that bundle of stuff on top of the paddles being yellow and having a yellow paddle in there, even though as Jeff said, they're all in the same spots, so there was 1 paddle per truck per each bit. Well, I feel like you should have figured that out. It's kind of like the situation in Millennials vs. Gen X, where Michaela was the only person whose puzzle had white lines because her puzzle had a black background. Everyone else had black lines with a different color background. And you notice how Michaela was the only one that was able to complete the puzzle but makes a mistake like that? Right, so I will fault producers for that. Definitely. And I also like how we didn't have idols being found at the start of the season. Let's have that go back a tiny bit. I want idols to be found, don't get me wrong, but let's have an episode or two without them, And then that slyness or sweat puzzle, well, it makes sense that they all do the physical work because that's the easier one to figure out, you know? But I really wish that somebody would have posted the results for the triangle bit. I did it multiple times and I ended up with about 48 at the end because, trust me, you gotta be really careful because you know that triangle that's kind of diagonally shaped? That causes a few small triangles or triangles within a triangle to be there that you won't realize. And then also, you know how that big triangle has like 20 individual shapes in the middle of it? There's tons of smaller triangles within that big one that are easy to miss. So it's definitely about 50, okay? Trust me on that. Yeah, so I don't blame them for that. And the tribal dynamics, well, we didn't really get to hear too much from the people that were voted out because, like, Eric/Abraham, depending on how you want to describe him, because he's described as Abraham, but Rob Sestardino keeps calling him Eric. We didn't really hear much from him, so I was a little surprised that he was booted, but I couldn't predict who the Yellow Tribe was going to boot, so there's that. Then as for the Green Tribe, I couldn't predict who was going because it was just totally all over the place. Them going for Sarah, well, something shifted and they decided to vote out Sarah, like even Ricard. He didn't want Sarah to go, but he ends up voting for her. So that was kind of interesting. But I was glad that Green did go to Tribal because they weren't showing JD's bit. So I'm like, yeah, go to Tribal so I can figure out what JD did, even though I'm pretty sure about it. So even though, as I said, that I wasn't explicitly rooting for the Blue Tribe, I knew that Yellow wasn't going to win immunity, and because I wanted Green to go to Tribal, that by default, you know. So I get the idea that this video was a bit of a mess, but number one, I haven't done this in a long time when I'm watching a season with all of you people, and number two, the episode was more about twists than it was about game dynamics, though I'm sure that the game dynamics are going to foster a lot more. Well, let's end this before it gets even more longer than it is. See ya.